Hey, everybody, we're live today, and I'm Dr. Maggie Yu, and we're just going to give you guys a couple of seconds to go ahead and jump in on our live broadcast today. I am in my backyard, actually, so good old Portland, Oregon, and there's a lot of greenery in Oregon, as you can see. No rain today, so I figured I might as well be in my backyard and invite all of you. This is my home. What I'm doing today is we're actually doing a Facebook Live today with Patricia. And Patricia is a graduate of our program about a week ago. So this is our online program, Healing Autoimmune Disease Naturally, is an 8-week online program designed to reverse symptoms of autoimmune disease in a very short, impactful period of time. And for me, it's a pleasure to bring and interview graduates from our program right when they're done with our program. So you guys know exactly, this is in 8 weeks, what's happening. Patricia, I'm going to, for those of you who are just joining us, great, thank you. Can you guys say hi and give me an idea of where you're watching from so that I know the demographics? It's always great to be interactive, so I know who's watching. That would be great. Thank you. And right now, if you can share this video to your own personal page, or if you're part of any sort of group for support for autoimmune disease or fibro, go ahead and share it to that group if you want to. That would be great as well. And tag people underneath who you think would benefit from learning this lesson that Patricia did, which is how to be the pilot and not the passenger in dealing with your autoimmune disease. So that's our theme for the day. And if you guys can go ahead and, if you guys can chime in. Oh, I'm seeing hello from Rhode Island. Thank you, Stacy. Jackie, thank you. Robin, good. Awesome. Well, thank you. And go ahead and give Patricia a thumbs up right now or a heart. This is not an easy thing to do it live. So I'm going to introduce Patricia really quickly, and I'm going to let her talk about her. So, Patricia, can you give us an idea of how long you've been dealing with symptoms of autoimmune disease, and what were some of the diagnoses that you had dealt with, that you were dealing with?
Yeah, so I've been dealing on and off with different things that I understand now are symptoms of autoimmune disease. The biggest one, I think, is around blood sugar and blood sugar balancing. I have been tested for hypoglycemia several times. I've gone through the titering tests on that, and it was always about you're fine. Everything looks fine. Not sure what's wrong, but everything looks fine. And I guess when my diagnosis came 2 years ago, that's when I really kind of had the change in terms of what does this really mean and how do I figure it out?
So 10 years of symptoms, and then about 3 years of actually having some quote unquote hard diagnosis with the RA and the fibro, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, let's go through the list in just those 3 years since the diagnosis. What are all the lists of providers, specialists? What are all the different treatments that you went through? Let's just give people the plethora of this.
Okay, so I went to a general practitioner. He did actually recognize as probably something I don't understand, so I'm going to refer you to a specialist. So he sent me to a physical therapist. That was great, and it did nothing for me. I went to a rheumatologist that I still see now. I went to my gynecologist. I went to a health and wellness provider to do Reiki. I've done hypnosis. I've done acupuncture, and I've done full body cryo spa. Before I really even understand. Yes, before I understood really what I have.
So besides levitation, you've tried everything else.
Well, yes, and I think if it was written down to teach me how to do that, I might try that too.
Okay, but a lot of people like you will be like, oh my God, I've tried everything. Why should I do something different? Now that you've been through the program, I do have a question. Do you think you've actually tried everything?
I think I've come close. I really do. I think, we had several conversations in my family, and my husband was kind of harassing me about, you've got to do something because whatever you're doing, it's not working. So he'd been pushing me for get a second opinion. And I was thinking in my head, good Lord, how many more opinions can I get? Because nobody's helping me. So I was pushing it off. And then, I just started to go on a decline really fast. And so I made a commitment that I would look for my second opinion. And the second opinion came when I was just searching the internet to try to find out what is that different thing that I haven't tried yet. And that's when I came across your program, Maggie, on the internet.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So basically this started with a situation like those of you who are watching right now, if your story sounds very similar, Patricia, say me too, and go ahead and list some of your experiences that you had with with specialist conveyor belt, with the multiple diagnosis, with also the many years of symptoms prior to diagnosis. This is a really common journey. Patricia, you've been through the program, you've seen all the other people in there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Experience?
Yes, it is. Unfortunately, it is.
Yeah, and those of you who are watching and graduates in our program too, thank you, Tracy. And Frankie is our functional nutritionist. She's moderating the comment section right now. So awesome. Those who are graduates, show yourself, say hi, and you could help with Q&A here, guys. Give us your feedback on it. So now, you came on the internet, you actually found out about our program. Now, here's the deal. This was a very interesting story about how you enrolled in the program. So a lot of people will say, I'm a skeptic. I don't believe anything. I've been through so much that there's no way that I'm going to trust somebody or something I'm seeing on the internet. So I'd like to hear, you've told the story to us, so I'm asking if it's okay with you to share about Mauricio, your husband.
Yes. So Mauricio, my husband of 28 years, he is a skeptic by nature, and part of that's why I love him so much. But when we as part of entering the program, the expectation is that it's a family thing, and so my husband got on the phone call with me, and he was probably asking more questions than I asked, and that maybe go back to be the pilot of your destiny. He asked a lot of questions, and he was very skeptical, and by the time we got towards the end of the phone call, there was, I was in tears. I didn't know what to do. And Sheila, who was on the other line, basically said, okay, Patricia, this is up to you now. Are you going to do it, or you're not going to do it? Or what are you going to do? Because this is your life.
Metal hits the pedal.
Yeah.
What are you?
Yeah.
So,
and
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and so that's kind of what it came down to, is I just had to tell my husband, this is, with your support or without it, I have to do this because I have to do this for me. I have to try something else.
So I like 2 points of that story. Number one is, let's talk about skepticism. A lot of people says, I've been through so much. I've had so many people promise me this or that. I'm a skeptic. And here's the thing. I think let's blow skepticism. Let's make clear what it is, which is that for me, I think a healthy sense of skepticism and doubt is good. It's protective, right? And you should have some skepticism and doubt. But here's the problem. When it becomes a pathological or a barrier is when pathological skepticism is when you lose your sense of discernment, or when something's even real in front of you, when there's a real person like Patricia, like me, talking to you, and that's evidence, right? That you can't even tell the fact of truth from fiction. You've completely lost your sense of discernment. That's a pathological sense of skepticism and doubt. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a barrier.
And I think that what Mauricio was showing was that he was experiencing a pathological level of fear and doubt based on all the experiences that you guys have been through, correct?
Right, that's correct.
So, and ultimately you had to be decisive and you had to make a commitment and a decision, and you did. So let's talk about right now. I want to go over right now. People want to know, what are your outcomes? Can you give me an idea what your outcomes are in the program? This is the week 9 now. You graduated a week ago.
Yeah. So my outcomes, I am controlling I am in control of my blood sugar now. So I understand that how much food and diet has a role to play. I thought I was gluten-free before going through the program. I realized that I wasn't, and that has helped incredibly. So nutrient deficiencies, that is just kind of all over the board with that. So I've got those. I'm getting better in those areas now with the supplementation and balancing that. I guess the most personal outcome, outside of the fact that I don't feel like I have to have a nap every day. I feel the brain fog is gone. I feel more energetic, and I've done actively reducing stress in my life. Maybe that makes me a more positive person because I'm just physically not in pain. I can be present in conversations with my family. But the most personal one is
hold that one. I'm going to frame that one for you. I want to bring this back because Mauricio's never going to live this shit down.
That's right. So
talk about this, like this pathological sense of skepticism. At what week or at what point do you think that would turn around for him?
Week 4.
Wow.
So kind of taking a step back, it was about when I first received my diagnosis. The reason that I went to the doctor to begin with was because my hands were very swollen and it just hurt, and I couldn't wear my rings anymore, and that included my wedding ring. And so that was a very hard thing for me to deal with, because being married for as long as we have, the fact that I had to go around without wearing my wedding ring, it hurt, and I didn't like it. But I couldn't do anything about it. We talked about, oh, maybe we'll just get you a bigger one. But I'm like, no, that means I'm accepting. So I didn't want to do that. Uh-huh. And so at week 4, I had a phone call with Jackie,
our mindset
coach. And we were kind of talking about some of these things. And after I got off the phone with Jackie, I ran downstairs to my bedroom and I tried to put my wedding ring on. And it fit. And that was the first time that I put it on since my diagnosis. And I just burst into tears. I was running around the house screaming about being able to wear it. And then we had, ironically enough, we had a mastermind call about 10 minutes after I put my wedding ring on.
Call with the group, yes. And I thought you were holding your ring up and you're like, I was like, I'm just glad it's not the other finger.
It was really amazing thing that, after so long, I was really on the verge of, okay, well, maybe I need to buy a chain so I can put my wedding ring around my neck, or, something like that. And I think that that's where I really realized how much this program was helping me, because you can talk about, oh, you've got nutrient deficiencies. Okay, well, I'll take vitamins. And you can talk about different things, but you don't necessarily see a direct impact immediately. So you're just kind of waiting for something to happen. And then when the wedding ring thing happened to me, it was, wow, this really is working. I've tried for a couple of years to put my rings on and I couldn't. And now I can, and I haven't taken it off since then. And so every once in a while, Mauricio will ask me, are you wearing your ring? Can you still wear it? Is everything okay? And I'm still wearing it, and it's fantastic.
So what was his reaction? I mean, you said that's when you felt like there was a shift in him with his pathological sense of skepticism. Can you tell me what that reaction was in him?
I think he just smiled. He was happy. He was happy because, the idea, I often worried, because this is just the way my mind thinks. I often worried, like, well, does he think that I don't want to wear my wedding ring anymore? What does he think about that? And kind of making that, it's the bond that's there, that now I can walk around and I can flash my ring and I'm wearing it again. And it's fantastic. I
constantly keep flashing it. Every other call after that, you're like, I'm wearing my ring. I'm wearing my ring. Like, okay. So here's the thing. I mean, that was at week 4.
That was week 4.
Something that you couldn't do for like 3 years plus, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So here's my question. Everybody wants to know, how do you come from being the passenger to becoming the pilot? I would say that by week 4, you're already starting to earn your pilot's license in Stripe. So people in the audience here want to know, what was the difference? What is so different about working with us that gave you a pilot's license and learning how to fly with us?
Yeah, so part of it was actually the Mastermind Calls. So the Mastermind Calls and those calls where we actually talk with everybody else in the group and being able to ask questions. So in terms of being the passenger, even when I would go to the doctor's office, there's always this thing in the back of my head that says, well, they're the doctor. Of course they know. And this is what the doctor said. So this is what I need to do. And by getting in the habit of writing down my questions, asking the questions, not stopping till I got an answer to my question, I actually started taking that into my doctor's office. So, I have my book, I have my questions before I go, I write everything down, I write how I'm feeling, I write whenever there's an issue, and my doctor knows now that I walk in and I've got my book and I'm not finished until I've asked all the questions. So that's one example of how I've taken control rather than just sitting down saying, okay, the doctor says so, so that must be the way it is.
Well, and for those, I mean, this is I feel like it's the missing link. The holy grail to me of how to actually reverse a lot of these symptoms and causes of autoimmune disease is actually like teaching clients and patients themselves on how to understand the bigger picture. What are the critical skills you actually need to actually have mastery, and then you can collaborate with your doctors. So what you're saying, your collaboration with your doctors have totally changed, right? How so you're already, I mean,
so I can actually give a couple of examples of that. So one of the points my husband pushed in our initial call, there was a comment made about testing hormones. And my husband's response was, well, that's such a common thing. What makes this so special? I mean, testing your hormones is you can go anywhere and do that. Why do you have to do it in this program?
Oh yeah, why do you?
Well, now I know. But the thing is I didn't, maybe testing your hormones might be a common test and commonly accepted test, but I never knew to ask for it. So
you didn't ask for it. It's also not commonly tested. Most doctors don't even know how to test it and will refuse to test it. And even if they got the data, they wouldn't know how to interpret it, and much less give you any input or insight on how to interpret or deal with that.
And that's one of the benefits that I have now, is because when I get those back, even last week, I went in to get, my blood test done, which I do periodically. And I asked for a very specific blood test to be done. And the rheumatologist asked me, why do you need that done?
Yeah.
And so I pulled out my book and I'm like, well, and this is why I need it done. And no, it's not. It's 3 T3s. It's not T4. It's not the same thing. And it's not T3 uptake. So I actually had the opportunity to share that with the doctor. Why did I want the test done, and what was I going to do with it?
How did he respond to that?
So I won't say that it was more of a, well, okay, I guess so.
You got what you needed.
I got what I needed, and I'm happy with that, but I can't say that she was actually on board necessarily with, well, why do you need it done? Well, okay, if you need to, okay, fine. But that's not, she was very clear that would not be a test that she would have asked me to do.
Well, but what's cool about the story is that you were able to identify what the testing that you needed was. You were able to explain intelligently why. And number three, you were able to have influence over your doctor to have them collaborate with you.
Right.
They don't have to be thrilled about it, but if they're willing to collaborate with you, would you say 3 years ago that you would have had that kind of interaction with your doctors ever?
No.
Okay. Exactly. This is what a pilot's license is, people. Okay. Those of you who are graduates who have a pilot's license right now, please say, I have a pilot's license right now. Because another thing is, Patricia, are you a superstar here? Are you a superstar in the program?
I try to be.
With your outcomes or skill set?
Yeah, so I do, part of my personal healing and is trying to respond and help other people. So people ask questions. I do my best to respond based on my personal experiences. I try to stay active and in touch with folks in the program. We still network. We still ask each other questions. We still bounce ideas off of each other. We sometimes say, oh crap, I don't know. And that's okay too, but we're going through this together. And and it's and I don't think, because it's not something that ever gets cured, it's something that we learn how to manage and control. Those are also networking opportunities that we're established, and we'll have them forever.
Yep. And so I want you to answer that question, because some people say, oh my gosh, you put up the people with the best outcomes on these videos.
No.
So okay. Are you a superstar that has super outcomes compared to the other people in this program? I know a lot of people watching here right now are graduates, and they're going to take issue with this. But go ahead. Tell the truth. Are you a superstar? Are you the A student here?
No, I don't think so. I mean,
are your outcomes special above and beyond other people?
No, not above and beyond. They're comparable. They're comparable. I think there are others. Well, so we all have something different, right? So
there you are.
Okay, flash for a second. It's all autoimmune disease. So kind of fundamentally, it's the same, but the impact is different. So everybody's story is different. And so I think it's in terms of, am I a superstar? Maybe I have to think that in my head to make sure that I stay in control of where I'm at.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think.
Let me reframe that question. I think, here's the deal. We screen people very carefully so that the people who enter our program, are people who kick ass, take names, and chew bubble gum. And would you agree that that's who the people that are in the program are?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Yes.
And then for all the people who kick ass, take names, and chew bubble gum, my question is, are your outcomes atypical? Do you have an unusually high level of outcome?
I don't think it's atypical. I think it's we're all there. I think it's more atypical not to get this kind of outcome.
I know people say that all the time. That was the biggest question. We do calls interviewing people for our program, and that's one of the biggest questions. They go, well, I'm sure you put the people that get outcome on the interviews.
No.
What about all the people who don't get outcome?
I'm not. I'm not 100%. I'm still fighting this. I still have flares. I can wear my ring. I still have flares. It's but the atypical response would be that you're not getting it out of this program.
I don't think I've witnessed that yet. I really haven't. Outcomes are huge. Lenny says that. Oh my gosh. And then, Christina's saying, absolutely, Patricia. Tracy Rupp, thank you. I've witnessed so many successful outcomes. It's true. You're one of them as well, Tracy. Great interview. Christina has done an interview with us as well. If you haven't seen that interview, a lot of our graduates, all the pilots license. We're doing a roll call pilots license right now. So if you guys could give Patricia a thumbs up right now, that'd be great. Thank you so much. Now, I have a couple more questions, which is, why this program? Why do you said the face-to-face interaction in the Mastermind Calls, which is live coaching. Live group coaching really made the difference. A second thing you mentioned was community. Can you tell me about how important community was in your progress here?
Yeah, so absolutely. So I did, before I found this, or while I found this on the internet, there are a lot of different programs out there. And I think what made this one stand out for me is the camaraderie and the positive conversation. So I've visited some sites that were a lot of complaining or a lot of everybody telling people to do things, and there were like 3 different actions that everyone was suggesting being done without basis. So I think that's what made this stand out for me, because it is community. It is about helping each other, and we're all in the same place. So you get to let your vulnerabilities come out a little bit more than maybe you would. Yeah. Okay. So a lot more.
It was an extremely raw, intimate, vulnerable experience. Every time.
Absolutely. And I think I made the comment to, maybe it was to yourself, the people that were in my group probably knew more about me personally than many of the people I interact outside of the program every single day. So you've become, in some ways, I think some people there know me better than I know me. Right. And it's, I think that's a big benefit from this program, because we're trying to heal. We're not trying to give advice. We're not trying to say that we have the answers. We're all trying to heal.
Well, and then another point that you brought up, and I'm going to say it's point number 4, is that it's data driven. It's not follow Dr. Maggie's protocol for everyone in the world with every autoimmune disease on the planet.
Right.
We have people with a lot of different autoimmune diseases in our program, but there are patterns that are similar in all of these people. Absolutely. And the most important thing is you all have individual data that fits into these patterns in different ways that you learn about with light bulb moments over and over and over again, call after call after call. Right. So it's a data-driven program that's customized and personalized.
And, and it's reinforced too, because when we review the data multiple times, you can say something once and maybe we get it and maybe we don't. But when we hear the same messages over and over, we begin to actually truly internalize it and understand what it means.
Right.
And that's another thing to the data-driven element of this, is actually being able to understand it. So I can look at something now, and if I don't recall immediately, I've got a toolkit to go back to understand.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's another thing that this program offers.
And then the final thing I want to put in here is, because several people I was talking with on the phone today, we were talking about the importance of mindset work. There isn't a program out there in autoimmune disease that addresses the importance of mindset work. And we do so much mindset work in our program. And we have a mindset coach, Coach Jackie, that you've been working one-on-one with. And you mentioned her as well. And those of you in the alumni who've worked with Coach Jackie, please give her a big shout out. How important, to me, that's a big difference in having a pilot's license, because from a passenger to a pilot, there's a big mindset shift.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you remember, not only you, but you've watched other people make these ginormous mindset shifts.
Yeah. And you know what it is but I think by the time you find a program like this and you start doing it, you're already in a place where you're just looking for help from somewhere, because you've been dealing with whatever for years, no answers, no relief. And so mentally, besides the physical pain and the physical wherever you're at, mentally we're drained. So, there were days where I could have dropped a tissue on the floor and I would cry about it, and not because it was any big deal, but I was just so physically exhausted and drained that, it's like, okay, what else is going to happen now? What else is going to happen that I can't control?
Yeah.
And being able to get a grip on that. And sometimes it's feedback that you don't want to hear. And sometimes it's like, okay, pick up and pick yourself up and let's go. But sometimes you need that nudge. And so that's where mindset comes in, is you have to make that change to be able to accept that I can get this and I can do this. And I have personally seen people, I remember, starting the program and you can tell they're just totally defeated. And then, yes, that's a good example. And it didn't take very long at all until we couldn't get her to stop smiling the whole time. And it was great. and it was just such a transformation. And she's like, wow, I feel so much better.
Yes, but you hear that every single mastermind from everybody. It's interesting. So that transition was like, what you're saying is there were examples, not just you, but other people, where you could see that the mindset was a huge barrier in the beginning.
Yes.
And that the mindset work, you could just totally see a complete transformation on their face and their actions and in their outcomes.
Yeah, and it has a lot to do with, I'm feeling better too. So I'm feeling better. My head is in a better space. I can change my mindset because I actually am feeling the difference. I'm feeling the change. I'm feeling like I'm actually getting somewhere in the program.
Yeah. I was going to bring something up, which was that you didn't even know you had Hashimoto's.
Oh, yes.
So can I ask, why was that an important point for you, that you discovered that during the program?
Well, that's the point where I realized that I had been sitting in the passenger seat for too long. And so what had happened is I had, we went through the lab results and I remember you saying, well, you have Hashimoto's. And I was thinking, what are you talking about? Surely you must have been talking about someone else, because that's not me. And then at the same time, I'm like, oh my God, how could I not have known? How could I have not known that this was also a factor? So that was, that was the brick that hit me in the head, really, where I was like, wow, if I'm going to get better, I have to be more in control of what goes on. I have to be asking the questions. I have to be understanding what this means. And I have to get out of the space of, well, okay, that they told me, so that must be the way that it is. Because I don't know how long I've had the symptoms of Hashimoto's, but I do know that it was a complete surprise to me when you told me. I looked at the results. I didn't know what they meant. And then when we reviewed the results in your program, wow, it was a complete surprise. So that's when I knew that was the game changer for me.
Yeah, you got to be a pilot on this.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me, though. One of the things I always say is that the diagnosis doesn't matter.
Right.
But because to me, like whether you have Hashis or not, in a sense, doesn't really change the fact that we have to deal with these patterns, and we got to stop feeding the autoimmune attack. But for you, it's just another sign of like, wow, this is just a really common thing that was just missed in the 3-4 years, 10 years I've been dealing with.
10 years, right? Exactly.
Okay, so my some closing questions, which is people always want to ask. Someone's asking in here, how long is the program? What's the cost? All this stuff. So I'm going to ask you something, which is, was it worth the investment?
Oh,
is
absolutely.
the program worth the investment?
Yes, hands down. I would do this all over again without a hesitation.
Do you think it's worth that, or do you think it's worth even that much more? What was these outcomes worth to you?
I think I'm worth that. And so this is investment in me. And as much time and effort and energy as I thought I was putting into over the years, seeing different specialists, doing different things, this program absolutely was worth it to me. Financially, it made all the difference. I feel so much better, and because it's a data-driven thing, I know that I can refer back to this at any time. If I'm not feeling good, I can trace it back to, okay, what changed? What did I do? What didn't I do?
What does the data say? What does the data say? What does the data say?
Exactly. And I didn't know how to find the right answers. B, I didn't know how to control my mindset. And C, I didn't have a group that taught me those things. So absolutely, yes, it was definitely worth it to me.
Okay, and all right. So those of you who are watching right now, I want you guys to give. Oh, Coach Jackie's on the call now. She's commenting.
Hey.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Jackie.
So basically, I thank you so much for being on this call with us and sharing these experiences. I mean, it's not easy. But at the same time, is like, I mean, these are outcomes. You're graduated a week ago, so this is week 9. Mm-hmm. So can you give me an idea what you can do now? Oh, wait. That you were thinking about curtailing or limiting what your career options were moving forward because of your medical condition.
Yeah.
Where are you now with that?
Oh, well, so yeah, I was actually in a lot of pain and job stressful, that sort of thing. But I think what I've done as part of that mindset also is it's about managing stress. It's about realizing that I've got my limits, and it's about speaking up. And I can tell you I've done a better job. I've done a better job of pushing back when I've reached my limits, and I have not always done that. So I don't have to quit my career. I'm feeling my no,
online, girlfriend.
No, and it's a great feeling because with all of these things going on in your head, and whether or not I can keep up, whether or not I can do this, will people understand? Well, how will I deal with this or that? It was about taking a step back and putting it all in perspective. So first and foremost, my health, and my health is necessary so I can take care of my family. And if I can't take care of me, I can't take care of them.
Right.
And if I can't take care of either one of those, the job's going to be really hard too. So not quitting my job.
Hell no, not on your watch, not on mine. And you're enjoying it more. I mean, you're not grinning and bearing through every day of work. You're actually enjoying it.
Right.
And what's your level of performance now?
Yeah, well, it's got to be better, right? Because my physically and mentally, I'm in a different place.
Well, I remember seeing it. I remember the first week on the Mastermind call, watching you typing and working as we were doing our call.
That's right.
Grinning and bearing it. And it was like towards the end, there was like this big old smile on your face, and you were like, hey, how are you doing? Not to mention the way you're talking to Mauricio there. Hey, how you doing?
That's right.
The other thing was, in the beginning, going back to the whole skepticism and Mauricio thing, I mean, at the end, I mean, if you think about it, you did it despite his skepticism. And in the end, was this a gift to him as well?
It was. I think I've been able to give me back, and not just to him, but to my family too. And it's about being very much aware in the moment, you know. So it's not as hard now to try to be in the moment. It's I'm a different me. I'm the old me.
You're back.
I am back.
His girlfriend's back and he's gonna get in trouble. Hey, love, his girlfriend's back. Oh my God, I did not just do that. Okay, stop. All right, so I want to say thank you for sharing all this with us, and for all of you, please give her a thumbs up, a heart. Thank you, Patricia. You rock.
You're welcome.
And for those of you who haven't, who want to learn more about our program, please go to healingautoimmunediseasenaturally.com. You can watch our online training that talks about all these steps that are needed to actually stop feeding the autoimmune disease and turn this around. How do you become the pilot, not the passenger? Watch the training, book a call with us. We're thrilled to talk to you and do an interview call with you to see if you're a good fit for us and to give you some details about our program as well. So this has been great. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
From Houston, Texas, and from Portland, Oregon, we're saying good night and thank you so much, everybody.
Good night.